join us as we kick off the weekend, getting much closer, of course, to Thanksgiving. Very exciting. We'll be launching our Santa's Angels, so that's going to be coming up here in just a matter of days as well. Those of you who are familiar with Santa's Angels, you know what to expect. Those that are not familiar with Santa's Angels, just keep listening and you'll get clued in, and you can help us as the next couple of weeks unfold with that project that we take on annually here. It is Thursday. We're going to have Author of the Week, sponsored by ABC Books on North Glenstone, an author that's going to be having a book signing coming up on the 30th, I believe. She's a local author. So that will be in the 8 o'clock hour. Christy Fulnecki will be joining us in the 7 o'clock hour. One of the big news items of the day yesterday, this illegal alien that was allowed into the United States by the Biden administration was found guilty of murdering Laken Riley in Georgia. And what my hope is that part of the effort of the Trump administration to secure our border and our country by keeping those out of our country that are not legally supposed to be here is to really highlight these stories. I know that there is going to be a focus on the logistics of this deportation effort that the administration is going to undertake. But there are going to be challenges because alongside the human traffickers, there are a number of Democrat elected officials in this country that are going to do everything they can in order to prevent deportations from occurring. There are Democrat mayors that have already come out, Democrat governors who have already come out saying that they will create sanctuary for these individuals and that they will fight against deportation. They will side with them in their law-breaking ways. They've been very open about this. And so, unfortunately, because there is a political party that is still opposed to protecting our border and securing our border. And mind you, these are the same people that in the months that Kamala Harris was the nominee running for president, tried to portray themselves as the party of a secure border. Let's not forget this, that after years and years of saying that a border wall is insane, a vanity project does not work, as they realized that this was detrimental to their hope of retaining the White House under Kamala Harris, all of a sudden, oh no, all about a secure border. Oh yes, yes. Oh, look at Kamala and those campaign ads walking alongside that border. You know, it's the one that she said was a vanity project that Trump built, but nonetheless, that's what the Democrat Party, we are for border security. They've gone right back to showing their true colors. This is why you cannot believe, not that anyone should put full faith and trust into politicians as they're running for election, but when Democrats talk about such things, this is why you can't believe them, because as soon as the election's over, they go right back to their old ways. And so even in the context of trials underway, and there have been a number of arrests just in the last few days of rapes and murders at the hands, allegedly, of individuals that were welcomed into this country as illegals by the Biden administration. They're here for that reason and that reason only. There are victims all across this country that have gone through the horrors of rape and murder because Joe Biden was elected president of the United States. There's no getting around it. And still, you have a number of Democrats that are saying, oh no, we're going to keep this up. No sympathy for the victims, the past victims, the current victims, and the future victims. And in fact, they are putting a target on every one of the citizens that elected them to be in position of power. Because where do you think these individuals are going to go? Where do you think these individuals that are the future rapists, the future child molesters, the future murderers, as deportations are underway, which are expected to target on those types of criminals first, and then you have Democrat governors and Democrat mayors saying you're welcome here and we will protect you from deportation, which communities do you think are going to see an influx of rapists and murderers? Now, it's easy to say, well, this is what those people want. I mean, they're not naive to what the Democrat Party stands for on these issues. So this is democracy. People want to become a magnet for rapists and murderers, then hey, rapists and murderers they shall get. Unfortunately, there are always people who did not vote for those policies, who did not vote for those people that will also be victims. And so, to the original point, my hope is that part of the administration's efforts, the Trump administration's efforts, in this plan of deportation is not simply going to be the logistics of the deportation itself, but there has to be the messaging component to this regarding the realities of what occurs in this country. When deportations do not occur, when we fail to secure our borders. Because I'm going to tell you, the left, the pro-illegals, these Democrat mayors, these Democrat governors, and the media, they are going to do everything they can to make people sympathize with those who are being deported. They are going to get the images that they want. They're going to desperately seek out images of, mothers in handcuffs. And I'm telling you, they are going to play it up. They're going to play it up hard. And if there is not a counter message based on reality, then the pro-illegal immigrant faction of our country could make some ground on this particular issue. Because let's be honest, you see, quote, rounding up and putting in the back of a paddy wagon or whatever it is, these families, and the kids are crying while they're being taken away from their mothers. That's not a fun thing to watch. And it's very easy as a human being, instead of saying, well, this is what happens when you come into a country illegally and bring your children. This is the risk. This is on you. You created this scenario. It's easy to say, well, maybe we should just let them stay. This is horrible policy. At the same time, let's not forget, this is the same political party that had no trouble whatsoever ripping a young Elian Gonzalez at gunpoint from the arms of his family in the free United States to ship him back to communist Cuba. They had no trouble doing that whatsoever. Springfield's Talk 1041, the latest news update.
And the first alert forecast from Colorton, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by Wolfpack Cleaners, your residential and commercial cleaning professionals. Today it'll be sunny and breezy with a high near 46. Tonight clear with a low around 27. For your Friday, sunny with a high near 50. And on Saturday, sunny with a high near 59.
KSGF.com, you still have a chance to get registered to win tickets to see Chris Tomlin live, Evangel University's Spence Chapel, a Christmas concert. KSGF.com, go get yourself signed up, chance to win those tickets. I'm sure while there, you can also learn information about how to purchase tickets if you would like. And then we are in the final days of our annual Show Us Your Best Shot, where you go to KSGF.com and submit your picks, hunting picks. They can be this season or prior seasons. And then one of you who uploads a photo will be randomly drawn. Brad Pistole, host of Safe Money Radio, like he has done in years past, has created hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of this awesome premier Hunter's Dream Pack. And he has done that once again this year as a hunter himself. And that is what is up for grabs. You can see the details on that, including where to submit those photos at KSGF.com on Show Us Your Best Shot. Area Price Cutters Macadoodles on the shelves. Kansas Territory Brewing Company's Bradford Light, crafted with precision and care, offering a crisp and refreshing taste that satisfies without overwhelming. Brought to you by the people at Show Me Beverage, and that again is from Kansas Territory Brewing Company out of Washington, Kansas. Area Macadoodles and Price Cutters. The illegal alien, who also is one of these Venezuelan gang members that we've been told, the left has downplayed this, these gang members, which, according to the newly released reports, have now established themselves in 16 states in this country. And let's make no mistake about this. Venezuelan gangs did not have a presence in this country until Joe Biden became president and opened the border. This is indisputable. 16 states now. And leading up to the election, along with the help of the media, the Democrats have tried to downplay this. Oh, it's no big deal. It was J.D. Vance weeks before the election that, I think it was Martha Raddatz, it was one of these so-called journalists that referenced this as well. I mean, they only have taken over a couple of apartment complexes. It's no big deal. And I don't think that it should go unnoticed that this illegal alien who murdered Laken Riley was a member of that gang. The illegal alien was sentenced to life in prison. Although Georgia does have the death penalty, the reason that the death penalty was not applied was because it was not sought. And it was not sought because the left-wing Democrat prosecutor did not feel that it would be in the interest of justice to apply the strictest penalty against the murderer. Her exact words, that it would not be in the interest of justice. An illegal alien from Honduras has been charged with rape after attacking a woman in Fairfax County, Virginia, on a running trail. This appears to be a favorite amongst those who have been welcomed into this country illegally by the Democrat Party. They've learned running trails are, it's essentially hunting. It's a hunting ground for them. The man has no fixed address, a long criminal record in the area dating back to 2022. The investigation is ongoing, and police believe that there are additional rape victims. One of the justifications that the Democrats use to continue to create sanctuary cities for these people is that, well, women get raped and killed anyway. It's not like stopping the illegals from coming into this country are going to stop all of the rapes. This is seriously the argument that some of them are making. I mean, women get raped. It happens. Fairfax County, incidentally, proudly does not cooperate with federal immigration officials. It's amazing, this pattern. You find these individuals that come to this country illegally after being welcomed by the Biden administration, commit these horrific acts, and it seems as if they end up in these areas in which they are protected by Democrat politicians. The Board of Supervisors passed the trust policy in 2021 to codify Fairfax County's commitment to the safety and security of all immigrant residents. The trust policy contains specific standards to ensure that employees do not voluntarily cooperate with enforcement or federal civil immigration laws. This is on the county's website. Where they want to make sure everyone, including those illegal immigrants in this country who are looking to rape and murder women, that they know. This is on the official government website. Don't worry, we will protect you. We will not comply with the federal government if they try to hold you accountable for being in this country illegally. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement in Boston announced yesterday the arrest of 2 illegal immigrants there who have been charged with forcibly raping children in Massachusetts, as well as a third individual who was convicted of raping a child in Brazil and was hiding in the U.S. after being caught and released at the U.S. border in 2022. The arrest comes after Democrat Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey said that her state would not cooperate with President-elect Trump's federal immigration enforcement efforts once he returns to the Oval Office. ICE said that one of the suspects, an illegal from Guatemala, was arrested for forcible rape of a child, but was released in Great Barrington, Massachusetts, by authorities who ignored a detainer request made by the federal agency to hold or transfer him to federal custody. This is what a sanctuary city is. You see, here's what needs to be understood about, there's a misunderstanding about what a sanctuary city is. See, they present a sanctuary city as a place that if you come here as just a well-meaning single mom who's looking for a better life, we won't report you. That's not what a sanctuary city is. A sanctuary city is specifically regarding individuals who are in this country illegally and have committed crimes in addition to that. This is an example of what sanctuary cities function is. When there is someone who is arrested for forcible rape of a child, as this individual was in Massachusetts, and because they're here illegally, the federal government has an order out saying, hey, if anyone catches this person, let us know so we can take them into custody. If this person gets arrested, sanctuary cities say it does not matter how horrendous the crime is. In this case, for example, a child rape. We will protect you. And in this case, the protection was releasing him out into the general public. And so, of course, then they get to commit another crime. The guy, the illegal who murdered Laken Riley, had faced law enforcement on numerous occasions. He had an arrest record. This is why these individuals go to sanctuary cities. This is why sanctuary city status is so dangerous for the law-abiding citizens in the community. And by the way, the illegals who also aren't rapists and child molesters, it's a danger to them as well. Because these individuals specifically seek out victims in these areas because they know if they get caught, they will not be turned over to federal law enforcement. And the reason that is significant in particular is because, like in this specific case again, they so often get released back out in the public. It would be one thing if they were kept in jail until the trial, because then you could at least argue, hey, I mean, it's not like they're out in the community. It's just a matter of who has custody, and we're just going to keep them in custody ourselves. That's not what they do. The suspect, 21-year-old minor Stephen De Paz Munez, entered the U.S. September 24, 2020, near Eagle Pass, Texas, was released by Border Patrol with a notice to appear before the Department of Justice. He was later arrested in western Massachusetts by Great Barrington Police on February 29th for rape of a child by force, rape of a child, and indecent assault and battery of a person 14 and older. ICE Boston lodged a detainer with the police department, but it was ignored, and instead, Paz Munez was released on bail. He has since been charged by the Berkshire County Superior Court with crimes which are still pending as he remains in custody. A second suspect, 42-year-old Billy Ernie Betrago Bustos of Colombia, was arrested by police on October 8, 2023 for allegedly raping a child by force, statutory rape, and aggravated rape. Gusto was admitted into the U.S. on May 4th of 2016 at John F. Kennedy International Airport, New York, though he failed to leave under the terms of his visa. After his arrest in 2023, Immigration in Boston lodged an immigration request with the Great Barrington Police Department, but of course, once again, there is Sanctuary City. Later that month, Gusto was arraigned in the Southern Berkshire District Court, held without bail. The charges were elevated to the Berkshire County Superior Court, which did honor the immigration detainer and then released him into custody to the Boston Immigration after he posted bail. He would, of course, later get out, and now he's accused of child rape. Then you have the third suspect, 41-year-old Alexander Roman de Oliveira, foreign fugitive convicted of raping a child in Brazil. So, of course, hey, he's just a dreamer. The Biden administration released him into the United States. He was convicted in the first criminal court of Yaru, Rondônia, Brazil, in 2022, sentenced to serve 14 years behind bars. But according to ICE, he fled Brazil before he could serve his sentence. On April 16, 2022, he entered the U.S. through New Mexico without admission by an immigration official, was released from custody after being served a notice to appear before a DOJ immigration review judge. So here, I mean, these child rapists, the Biden administration and the Democrats have turned this country into a magnet for child rapists and women killers. And in the midst of all of this, I mean, I don't know if it is more audacious from a political standpoint or a humanitarian standpoint or a lack thereof, that you still have these Democrats saying, we're not going to change. In fact, we're going to double down. And as the Trump administration works to deport these animals, we are going to provide them safe haven. And it is so important that as the Trump administration works in order to secure the border and to deport individuals that are in this country illegally, and the left is going to do everything they can to put a sympathetic face on it and to create in the minds of Americans that the sort of individuals that are being deported are just moms looking for a better life for their children. They have no other choice, while covering for the fact that we have become a safe haven for murderers and rapists. And if they would show just 1/100th the amount of sympathy for the Lake and Rileys of this country that they show for the people who come into this country illegally, maybe we wouldn't have so many Lake and Rileys in this country. Springfield's Talk 1041, I'm Nick Reed. Tomorrow morning, we will be kicking off the weekend at Scramblers, doing the show there, 6A to 9A. KSGF.com, you can get yourself signed up to win tickets for an incredible Christmas concert performance with the incredibly talented Chris Tomlin live at Evangel University's Spence Chapel. That will be Wednesday, December 11th. In fact, one of our lunch bunch folks yesterday was formerly Evangel. Ethics, he said, I think is what he taught. I really that was the gentleman sitting next to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard that part. And I wanted to, before we get traffic, I yesterday said it out loud to make a point to mention because for I don't know, a few weeks, Retro Metro was closed for lunch. Now they're back open for lunch, and dare I say, an elevated lunch
Yeah.
menu. And
They're doing
not
it
lunch
right.
was awesome before.
Yes.
It really genuinely was one of the best places to get a really great lunch in Springfield already, but they've just elevated it, and we were very excited about it. We
Yeah.
did not realize that
It
was
was
going.
like a new restaurant almost.
Yeah, from the lunch offerings.
Yeah.
You know what? It seemed to me as if it was maybe more in line with the dinner offerings, but lunch portions, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. Like the ravioli that I had, it was like a mushroom. I forget. Sometimes the menu items, the descriptions have things in them. I'm like, I don't know what that is. It was so good.
It looked really good.
Yeah, and now they do like a bread thing beforehand, which is new for lunch, and that was so good. Usually, bread by itself, you kind of eat it just to be eating something or you're hungry, but it was really, really good. In fact, I mentioned I was going to save some of it for my ravioli, but I didn't because
you
it was
did
so
not.
good. And the little dipping sauce was fantastic. So if you haven't been to Retro Metro for a bit for lunch, they've got an awesome new lunch menu there, and I would recommend that you take advantage of it and get signed up for Lunch Bunch. Retro Metro at ksgf.com.
Springfield's Talk 1041, your first alert forecast from Colorton, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair of the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today it'll be sunny and breezy with a high near 46. Tonight clear with a low around 27. For your Friday, sunny skies with a high near 50. And on Saturday, sunny with a high near 59.
Someone had texted in asking what my beef is with Nancy Mace. I don't really have a beef with her. I imagine that question, which is Totally legit question. It's based off yesterday when we were talking about her push to make restrooms gender specific. Essentially say men cannot use women's restrooms there, which I fully 100% support and support her effort 100%. But I referenced that I'm not a huge fan of hers, and there's just been some things in the past, and I'm just read the text coming in, so I honestly don't have a listing of things that she had done in the past. Some of them were policy and where I just thought, I don't like. But I do, just in terms of, and this is a personality thing, it was sometime last year she showed up at this, it was like a prayer breakfast thing. She was a speaker, and in her opening remarks talked about running late because she had talked about being in bed with her boyfriend and stuff. It just seemed really crass, and I'm like, why would you listen? People have their own lives and everything, but it almost seemed like a deliberate attempt to be inappropriate or something. Why at a Christian event, when you're the speaker, would you talk about waking up in bed with your boyfriend? I don't know. There was something as a personality thing that was very off-putting for me when it came to that. But that wasn't the only thing. Like I said, I already had just a taste in my mouth to a degree. I'm not saying that she's a horrible congresswoman or bad or anything. I just was, I suppose, preferencing, I can't even get the word out, my instinctual feel on her before giving the story, in which I was praising her for standing up for women as she is. It does amaze me still. I'm watching on Fox News, or not Fox News, but The Five, and Jessica Tarlow was on there and railing on Nancy Mace and just continually dismissing Nancy Mace's claim that that as a rape victim, that it's intimidating to her, that it is something that is bothersome to her to be in a restroom, which can be sort of a closed off private area, and the idea that a man can walk in if he wants to, and that for her as a rape victim, that is something that is bothersome to her. And you have these people on the left that, oh, that's not true, she's just making. I'm like, listen, I can't claim to know what triggers a rape victim versus what doesn't, and I know everyone's different when it comes to trauma, but the fact that Democrats are just so dismissive of someone who's, and even if she had not been raped, I don't know, maybe she still would have a problem with this as a woman, which I think she has every right to as a woman. But I don't know. It's just the cold and callous nature that even rape is not off limits for the left to dismiss as something that's irrelevant as long as it serves their purpose. And the way that, and I hate to say even as a woman, but listening on the Five to Jessica Tarloff just dismiss the presentation of her, being a rape victim, and saying that's at least partially the reason that it bothers her so much, and to claim, oh, that's not true, she's just making that up. I guess I should not be shocked at the level of depravity. I did, as she was saying that, thinking, I wonder how many rape victims are watching this right now and just horrified at this presentation from a Democrat representative, not elected representative, but somebody who represents the Democrat view on Fox News. And I wonder if they're going to get emails over this, or I don't know, maybe. Like I said, not a rape victim, so I can't say. But Nancy Mace is absolutely 100% right on this one. There is a story from KFVZ. I believe that's out of Cape Girardeau. And it is about 4 liberal mayors coming together to create a liberal Voltron in Missouri to send this official letter to Kehoe asking for stricter gun control laws, specifically not allowing minors to be around firearms. And so, of course, it's the foremost liberal mayors that have any sort of significance in the state. You have the mayor of Columbia, Barbara Buffalo. And, they're like blue. When you look at the map and it's all the counties, the red, you're like, oh, blue, 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 blue. Oh, that's where they are. Of course, Kansas City, failed mayor there, failed mayor and leadership in St. Louis. Anyone want to guess who the fourth is? Any wild guesses? Mayor McCheese making us proud by joining forces with the other 4 liberal mayors in Missouri. I mean, I think this guy still goes around claiming that he's some sort of conservative. If you are joining forces with the most liberal mayors in the state, and some of which are some of the most liberal in the country, you're not a conservative. You're not a, quote, Republican. Which, listen, if you're some left-wing individual, this is the part that just really gets me. Just admit it. I know, and it's a stereotype, but it's in the DNA of people on the left to lie. I get that. So, and he knows he's got to run as a Republican. He's got to say, oh, no, I've got those conservative values. Because he's not going to win otherwise. But I just, that dishonesty, the bait and switch, it just drives me nuts. I cannot stand the wolf in sheep's clothing, the dishonesty of it. I mean, I don't know if he's ever seen a tax increase he didn't support. When it comes to the Second Amendment, he pushes for increased gun control. I'm like, what about this individual? He was pushing and supportive of all the, transgender stuff. He was on, is it Meet the Press? He was on one of the national shows during COVID, trashing on people in the Springfield area for spreading disinformation. The people that were dare questioning whether or not it actually helped to be 6 feet apart. While Springfield is, telling people to call 911 if they see someone without a mask and arresting people who are filling up with gas at a gas station, because they're just out and about like it's Nazi Germany and you don't have permission to do so. Restaurants shutting down, these complete conflicting arbitrary rules. Pushing this sort of witch hunt mentality in which people in Springfield are reporting on each other because of the public sentiment stirred up by people like Mayor McCheese. You had a number of these different hair salons that had to shut down because they were getting death threats because of one of their employees or independent contractors, whatever the classification was, got COVID and was working. I mean, they just stirred up this anti-science hysteria. And then he, like Fauci or any of these other left-wing mayors that you saw across the country or governors, go on national TV and, they're spreading disinformation. He actually credited himself with saving lives by doing that stuff. It was part of his announcement to run for re-election in his recorded statement. He saved lives. No. I mean, the narcissism. And so now, along with the other liberal mayors, Columbia, St. Louis, Kansas City, joining forces in a letter to Kehoe asking for gun control. Because, of course, we know that it's just the fact that there aren't laws on the books. That's the missing problem. Let's just touch on that in a moment, shall we? Because there is an intellectual laziness here that, frankly, I think we need to start calling out. It's lazy. This idea that we'll just pass a law, that'll fix it. And then the reason we have this problem is because people won't listen to me and just pass a law. Springfield's Talk 1041, I'm Nick Reed. The four most liberal mayors of Missouri have come together requesting that Governor-elect Kehoe support new gun restrictions, specifically for minors. You got the mayor of Columbia, the mayor of Kansas City, the mayor of St. Louis, and then our very own Mayor McCheese of Springfield. Who's, we're told, is conservative Republican, of course. You know, except for on the issues. Except for when he's joining forces with, you know, this transgender movement that Americans have clearly overwhelmingly rejected in the last election, or gun control, or taxes, or yeah, basically
Just
anything.
anything.
Just anything. You know, other than all of that stuff, he's a conservative Republican. Aside from the problem I have with people who lie about who they are in order to get elected in certain areas, I also have a real problem with it's either dishonesty or intellectual laziness that these people have when it comes to fixing a problem. And it's very manipulative. Now, there's the intellectual laziness, or stupidity, perhaps you want to call it that, the unwillingness or inability to recognize that these laws don't work. That you know, because that is one reason that you have people that are on the left propose these types of laws. But then you also have the manipulation reason, and that is because what you do is you propose something that you know doesn't work, but you also know that the political opposition won't do it. Then you can say, well, I tried. If they had only listened to me, then we would have solved the gun control problem in this country, would have solved violence, rather. We would have solved gun violence in this country. But, those people that are owned by the Second Amendment, so it allows them to escape their responsibility and push it off on someone else. The idea that some 14-year-old who has severe psychological problems and decides, and we've learned over time that when it comes to school shooters in particular, that these things are planned out in advance. It's not some spur of the moment situation. They write about it ahead of time, the reasons that they're planning it and so forth. This is how they operate. The idea that somebody that has that level of depravity and psychological problems, that they are going to find out, or like, oh, but you know what? There's a law that says I can't have access to a firearm, so I guess I can't do it now. Do you know the level of intellectual vapidness one has to have to believe that will even work? If you don't believe in the Second Amendment, you don't believe in people's right to protect themselves with firearms. Do you know, I can't comprehend the vapidness intellectually to believe that the sort of person that is going to commit a heinous crime with a firearm that is a minor would not do it because, oh, I would be violating a law that says as a minor I can't have access to a firearm. It's total intellectual laziness, and it's the easy way out. Well, I'm the mayor of a town, I'm the governor of or I'm the president of the United States, and this is a problem. Oh, I'll just propose that, we'll just pass a law telling them don't do that. Springfield's Talk 104.1, I'm Nick Reed.
What in the world? Oh.
We will be at Scramblers tomorrow. You're not even plugged in. That's your problem over there. We're going to be at Scramblers tomorrow, broadcasting live. That's sponsored by Custom Shade Window Tinting, powered by 3M Window Film. Love for you to come by and join us. I want a great homeloan.com. All of your home loan needs, that is where you find them right there. It's your portal to anything and everything you can need and access to the best team that you're going to get in the area, and that is the Carrickers and their team. Utilize them for advice. Utilize them to help you make that decision on what route to go. Maybe a refinancing decision. You may be thinking, hey, things are turning around. They're going to get better under Trump. Should I pay off my home? I have the savings to do it. Talk with them about those things, and they're not going to tell you what to do, but they will tell you, well, here's what I would do if I was in this situation versus that, and here's the reason why, and then you can decide for yourself. So they are a great asset. And then, of course, when the time does come, I cannot recommend them enough. I've used them on more than one occasion for a home loan and refinancing. That's iwantagreathomeloan.com, because you do. Make sure I got the microphone on here for you there. I should just...
Are you being serious?
Says the person
10 years later.
says the person who was trying to figure out why her headphones weren't working, and it was because it wasn't plugged in.
No, they were. I checked.
They were, but I was turning the wrong knob because it was plugged into the other one.
This is so...
All right. I mean, it took me 10 years to get this far. So another 10 years, I'll have it down. Hey, you know what? What?
No, go ahead.
Oh, you need to play. I was thinking you need like a YMCA button so that we could talk about Trump, and then you could hit the YMCA and we could
the Trump
celebrate,
dance.
do our dance.
Although someone had texted in and called it the Trump pump, and I like that because it rhymes, and he pumps his arms. But I wish that would catch on. Did you see Mayor McCheese is in the news?
Yeah.
Join forces with the other
You know
three
what?
major liberal mayors. No,
I know.
just not hard enough.
I know. Well, I mean, I had so many forces against me too. I'm not trying to make excuses.
Well, no, you did.
Yeah, I pretty much had the whole chamber, the Chamber of Commerce here, the local one. I had that whole organization. So
they love them some
crazy,
cheese.
just on my own, and he really had the whole chamber raising money for him. So, but I tried.
Does he give his pronouns yet? Has he gotten to that point?
Oh, I don't know. Probably.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested, like when he sends out emails, if he has his pronouns on there.
Yeah, I mean, the whole problem with that, number one, the election is in the spring. Nobody really pays attention. It needs to be in November.
Well, go ahead.
Well, yeah, thank you. And so, interrupting women now on your show. I mean, and Indian women, give me a break.
Yeah, I got 2 strikes against you there.
Yeah, that's right.
Now you're gonna put a curse on me. I know how you people. You people. Yeah, I know what you do.
That's right.
I've watched Poltergeist.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so anyway, and then if you ran as a Republican or Democrat, you could still, fake that too.
Well, that's what even the campaign ads, in all of these, local community people, always just such a conservative, and he's got those conservative values, and I'm like, is he lying to you, or are you lying to the citizens? Which one is?
The only reason that they would give during our campaign when I ran for mayor and lost was that that he had worked for Matt Blunt. So that's the only reason that they gave for him being conservative. And then it's so funny. I look back and I can't believe it's been almost 8 years. Is that they kept saying that we had no crime in Springfield. I don't know if you remember that. And I would run ads about the statistics, FBI, and I think even the chief back then, they were all like, well, you can't use those.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can't use the FBI statistics.
Yeah. Well, you couldn't use any statistics that indicated that they were wrong.
Yeah, right. I know.
Those did not count.
It's how, crime rate, but I don't know. Hopefully, I think there's 4 seats or something in the spring. So hopefully we can talk about that a lot because they can turn it around. It's too bad that the election wasn't, this past November when we had the big wave. So, but then again, you don't know who's Republican and who's Democrat. So,
Well, and you're right. It does need to be moved to November, but they do it in the spring. That gives the incumbency, that gives the big government left wing incumbency an advantage because most people aren't paying attention. And you kind of have, so your people, your PACs, your left wing activists, they're paying attention. They know what's so yeah, it gives a built-in advantage.
Yeah, and
So
the
that
change. Yeah.
that's why they put tax increases during usually not always, but a lot of times it happens then. What do you think if he does have pronouns? What do you think they are?
Ham and burger.
Yeah, sesame seed bun, all beef patty / sesame seed bun, pickles, ketchup, lettuce, tomato.
Oh, I'm sure he loves you. I don't know. Hopefully, we're done with this whole pronoun thing.
Oh, I will say,
I
last
hope-
time I saw him, which was years ago, he was very cordial.
That's good. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Now,
have the same
of
all
course,
the
I
time.
also know what he says about me when I'm not around. People do talk.
Oh, that's true.
It is funny because I've learned this. You get these people and they have their little world, and they think that they'll talk and say things about certain people, and they think that it won't be talked about or said.
Oh yeah,
People do talk.
yeah.
People talk.
especially in the political world and the Springfield area,
And
it's
people
very
over
small.
here.
Yeah.
I some of the things that I've been told, just like normal people who happen to be in government buildings over there in Boonville, and just things they've overheard, they're pretty funny about
Yeah.
me.
But yeah, I'm sure. But when you're the outlier, sometimes you don't hear all that. Like people would say, "Oh, what's going on with whatever on city council?" I'm like, I don't know. I'm the one that's like the outcast.
Yeah.
I'm the misfit of city council. So
You did not fit in McDonald land,
that's right.
Christy Fulnecki.
And you know what? The outcasts are popular now. That's right. All the outcasts in the United States, they're all
right.
running the government
That's
now.
right. Like
So boom.
Greg Gutfeld says, like a pirate ship. That's what he describes like. It's like a pirate ship. All of these people that Trump's surrounding himself with, it's like a pirate ship.
Happy day in America.
And we were having lunch bunch yesterday, and one of the guests of the winner he asked if I had read. I don't know if it was verbal or if it was a written piece by Jordan Peterson comparing, I guess individually, some of these Trump picks to the Avengers.
I was thinking about that last
Yeah.
night. Jordan Peterson was on Gutfeld last night. That's so
I
funny.
knew he was going to be
was
for the
really
whole
good.
hour. Gutfeld
He
kept
wa-
saying for the whole hour, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it was really good. He was great. It was so funny. I'm telling you. I do not miss Gutfeld anymore because it's the funniest part of my day. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Chrissy Volnecki with us. Let's get a news update.
And the first alert forecast from Colorton, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by Wolfpack Cleaners, your residential and commercial cleaning professionals. Today it'll be sunny and breezy with a high near 46. Tonight clear with a low around 27. For your Friday, sunny with a high near 50. And on Saturday, sunny with a high near 59.
Oh, look at what she did. Man, you work fast over there.
Playing around.
Did you see U.S. Soccer star hit by major news outlets after doing the Trump dance?
Oh,
This
really?
was, Christian Pulisic. There was a U.S. game versus Jamaica, and he made his first goal in the victory against Jamaica, and then he did the Trump dance. And of course, he's in trouble for this. Forbes columnist Ian Nicholas Quillian suggested that he should keep the focus on the game rather than draw attention to Trump. Now, because of course he has to explain it, and he was like, it wasn't political. He said, I just think it's funny. Everybody's doing it. It's a funny dance. But now, of course, if he had kneeled during the national anthem to humiliate the country, he would have been praised as, doing what's right, even though it might be difficult. But you do a funny little dance that is, just a thing people are doing, and, well, you can't do that. How dare you?
I know.
And incidentally, on that point, before we move on, the left, they keep saying, oh, the hypocrites, these Trump supporters, they complained about Colin Kaepernick kneeling, but this they're okay with. Yeah, because one is about celebrating something that is exciting, and whether you agree with it or not, the perspective is this is good for America. The other's whole point was America sucks.
That's right.
These are two very different things.
Yeah.
These are two very different things.
And who's going to complain about being happy? I mean,
The left,
boy, they did their joy.
Democrats.
They sucked the joy right out of them.
They are. They're just naturally joyless. Look, I mean, just look over the last 4 years.
Oh, yeah.
They have, Biden has been president. The first 2 years of the presidency, the Democrats controlled everything. Were they happy? No, they're still bitching about everything.
I know, that's right.
They still complain about everything.
40 years of depression in America. But I'm so excited. And isn't it amazing? Overnight, the culture starts to change, and he's not even in office. I mean, you pretty much have changed. Like, you're getting the woke out of sports. I mean, who would have thought that could have been done? Now, I just think it's all these people that, that were for Trump and couldn't say anything. And now all these kids are doing the TikToks, and my sister from Michigan's listening, so I got to say hi to her, Kim. She's listening to the show right now.
I bet she's not out. I bet you $20. Just kidding. It's a reference.
Listening.
For those who don't know, that was several shows ago. Christy talked about one of her daughters listening. And I said, I bet she's not listening. She just told you that. And if she texts you before the commercial breaks over that she's listening, I'll pay you $20. And she did.
Yes.
That's what that was in reference to.
Yes. Good job on that one. So, but I had to tell
and
that
I
story.
did pay her.
It only took you like 3 weeks.
Well, that's because I was going to get it all. Well, I was going to get it all in nickels. Did I not tell you that? Yeah, that I was going to get it all in nickels, but then I was like, yeah, forget it. I'll just Venmo her.
It's going to be awesome here in about 2 months. So we don't have to. I know everybody should watch on YouTube. Is it YouTube? That's where we're on.
Trump pump.
Yeah, because we're dancing and having so much fun. I know. I just love doing that. And I've been wearing my hat to work. My MAGA hat.
There was an article.
I can't get off in the courtroom. Because that, really pisses the judges off.
But... Well, whenever you're in front of someone who has the power to throw you in jail, that's a little bit different. Right. There was an article, I don't know if it was the New York Post, I forget where it was, but we're talking about particularly around the East Coast and areas that were traditionally liberal blue, that after Trump got elected, Trump signs started going up in yards in some of those neighborhoods. It was like, they felt, I don't know, free, or there was just this. I think what happened was and I've mentioned before what my wife said after the election. She goes, they do such a good job, the media, of falsely creating this atmosphere in which you feel like you're this extremist in this minority. And after the election, particularly winning more votes than Kamala, she said it's nice to see that that's not true, that they're in the minority, and so you can only imagine if you live like, in Roundtree or some of these blue areas of the country, that you would really feel that way. And so I think when it was just like, oh my gosh, you know what? I don't have to be ashamed of this. I'm not in the minority here. I am in the majority.
Yeah, and other people would call that lying when you're lying and when you're all these stupid pollsters. Every time I see a poll now, I'm gonna be like, whatever. And then the two companies that got it right, that are treated like the stepchildren of the pollsters. I mean, they were on, those two guys, I can't think of their name, but they were on Hannity, I mean, predicting this forever and talking about it. And then they were just shamed that, these idiots don't know what they're talking about. Well, I mean, and you know what? It wasn't just a razor thin margin. I mean, we just blew them out of the water, and that was so great. It was so great. And now you have a mega party. Now you have one party.
Mega party.
The mega party.
Yeah, while doing the Trump pump. Mega party.
I know. I have so many topics to talk about.
All right, well, let's take a break, and then we can kick
Okay.
them off here with Christy Fulnecki.
Okay.
I'm Nick Reed. Christy Fulnecki with us. One of the big areas of focus for a lot of people is what will happen with the January Sixers, of
Yes.
course, of which you represent some.
Yes, and it is craziness. Okay, well, it started. There's one guy that got on there. It's so funny how liberals always want to tell you their opinion. I mean, they always want, even if it doesn't, it's not relevant. So there's a listserv, and I think there's 1,500 J6 defendants. Some obviously sentenced, some not. And so on the listserv, there are a few thousand of us on there. And so
What is that?
Oh, okay. So it's all the attorneys that have represented the January 6th defendants. So they did a listserv. I don't know when they started this, probably in the beginning. So then we could all, I mean, it's kind of unusual, but so we could all email each other
Okay.
and ask questions and
Got it.
everything. So it's only the people that are defending January 6th. So, it's a huge thing. So you have people all over the country, attorneys mainly around the DC area that are emailing each other. So one guy gets on there and he says, this is the day after the election. And, or no, it was after they announced Matt Gaetz. So as a possible nominee for the attorney general. And so he gets on there. Well, you could talk about that and then talk about the relevancy to January 6th.
Sure, right.
But he said, well, I used to be with DOJ. That's how this attorney starts out. And I can't believe this guy. And he started going off to calling him names and all this stuff.
Well, that's why it's needed, because somebody like that used to be in DOJ.
Yeah, exactly. And so then I'm like, okay. So I get on there And I said, this listserv is not supposed to be political.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of his, and I hope he cleans house at DOJ. And this is going to like all the thousands of attorneys.
So you're
And
like, if you're going to make it
I
political, I'll
know.
show you.
That's right. I had to get my jab in there.
Yeah.
And I said, and I hope he grants all our clients blanket pardons. And so let's stick to talking about our cases.
Yeah.
So he did apologize, but I thought,
that's nice.
you know what? And another, if we wouldn't have kicked their, ASS, I don't know if I can say that, but if we wouldn't have done that, then they wouldn't be apologizing. So anyway, okay, so you would think that everybody would be granted their motion to continue trial. Some of these judges are still having J6 trials in December. I mean, so people have been filing motion continue based on, the election and the appointment and what everybody thinks that they're going to do with the pardons. I mean, talk about the judicial resources being wasted. So, okay, maybe you have a sentencing or something, but to have a full blown trial on J6. So one of these women that's going to come out, I was trying to find the name of her case. I think it's BAEZ, but this is a 1512 case, which, I mean, to make it, to summarize it, this is the Supreme Court Fisher ruling. So some of those cases are still going on, but they're trying to say, oh, the Supreme Court didn't address this. So this woman, she was celebrating, this is what they said. She was celebrating that the election certification was delayed. That's what she's being charged with.
Freedom of speech.
Yeah. So she is being prosecuted for celebrating.
Jeez.
And she is getting ready to go to trial, and they won't continue it. I mean, and then since I said something,
these aren't political prisoners.
Yeah.
Celebrating something in opposition to the power structure.
So then so luckily I said something. So all these attorneys are going, this is ridiculous. So this one guy said, cheering is not a crime. And
it is under Democrats.
Yeah, and there are no thought crimes in the former United States of America. This is what this guy's saying. And he said, this is, like 1984, and starts going through this whole thing. But, I mean, it is crazy that these judges, I mean, it's almost like they're trying to be vindictive that, oh, well.
Slightly.
Yeah. Like, okay, I cannot wait. Literally, all you have to do is wait for 8 weeks. And, I mean, I'll guarantee you that he'll do blanket pardons. Because, my guy that was, I came in on the sentencing, he was one of the worst ones. And like I said, he got pushed by Antifa. And, I mean, he did do a couple stupid things. But, I mean, he was also in jail for 3 years. And he never punched anybody, never hit anybody. He didn't kill anybody. And, and he's finally in prison. But, I mean, I used to think, look at the case, each case by case. But after seeing all the cases, I think he should just do blanket pardons.
We got Christy Fulnecki here. We're going to get a traffic update, continue on with more as we stream live, KSGF.com. I'm Nick Reed.
Springfield Stock 1041, your first alert forecast from Colorton, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair of the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today it'll be sunny and breezy with a high near 46. Tonight clear with a low around 27. For your Friday, sunny with a high near 50. And on Saturday, sunny with a high near 59.
Chris
Yes.
Stefanecki is with us.
Okay, and I have to say happy
Yes.
birthday. It's my husband's birthday today.
It is.
Yes. Yes. Yes, he survived me and 6 children. So, yay for him.
He's probably just numb walking through life.
Yeah, very inspiring. And also, I've got it. So, Kim and Dan's my brother-in-law, so they're both listening too. So don't do the challenge. Yes, hello. Yeah, and they live in Michigan, So, but my niece, I have to say this.
Hand up there.
Yes.
Oh, Gretchy.
Gee, I know. So talking about probably being intimidated to speak as a conservative, I'm sure that, they probably are. But my niece goes to University of Michigan. And so my sister was texting me just now and was saying how the day after the election, they canceled classes and had donuts for the kids. And and then she just texted me that my brother-in-law, when they were doing the tour or moving her in or something, that there were tampons in the men's bathrooms.
Of course.
So you pay all this money and send your kids there.
The La La
And then,
Land.
yeah.
I wish someone would make a movie about, and it could be sort of a dark comedy on a foreign country invading the United States and have it focus just on the different ways that people react to the invasion. Like you're going to have your preppers, you're going to have Trump supporters, America, but then these woke college students and these left, where they don't understand why their proper pronouns aren't being respected while they're being rounded up and executed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They live like the things that they think are traumatic experiences is a demonstration they are so out of touch with reality and so spoiled. I mean, the more woke you are, the more spoiled and privileged you are.
That's right.
There is a direct correlation there, and a narcissism. But I just see you could see the dark comedy, scenes of their just lack of understanding what's going on while some foreign forces are coming in and ordering them around and telling them what to do, and they're demanding that their pronouns be respected. And
yeah. I mean, well, in the entitlement, obviously, like look at their parents, the way that the way they act.
We were talking about one of the anti-Semitic sit-ins after October 7th when you had all these Democrat activists on these college campuses doing these sit-ins, and how we had played the audio on air that one of them, they called 911 because she needed to change her tampon.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Oh, yeah,
I mean...
yeah. Oh, yeah, it was just incredibly stupid.
Do you put a new phone screen on? You got a speck of dust under it. No, the screen.
The screen?
Yeah, you got a speck of dust.
Oh, my gosh. That's squirrel. No, okay, this is interesting. Dr. Peterson, because we were talking about Jordan. I couldn't think of his name. So when he was on Gutfeld, he said that he didn't know if the university model would last because it's so expensive. And there was and you actually, I mean,
privately
you learn how to party. What do you actually learn? And they had this whole discussion, and he said, I'm not sure if that model, you can learn a lot of things online. And so I don't know. I mean, the traditional university college experience might be a thing of the past, but I mean, it is having 3 kids in college, and praise the Lord, the military is paying for one. I can attest to how expensive it is. It's outrageous.
Well, and I didn't hear, any of what he said last night on Gutfeld, but I think the one thing that will prevent that from ever occurring is the fact that they get government funding.
Right.
And if they the more any government entity fails, the more money they get. Now, if it was dependent on actual success, then they would collapse on themselves because in the way that they operate in their current form. And that's not to say that there isn't a number of students that do come out because, in the way that they should, and that they do take advantage of it because of the way that they were raised and the culture they were raised in. And so they go in with their head down and they don't get affected by all of that wokeness. But in terms of the percentages, I mean, you just look at the results of some of these individuals. And I mean, when you recognize that Ocasio-Cortez got an economics degree from a university in this country, and
But
it's just it's an embarrassment.
that
It would, if it was dependent on success. Same thing with public school system.
yeah, oh yeah. Well, you know what? Funding is about to be cut. I mean, it is about to the whole. I was trying to explain this to my kids about how the world is going to look so different over the next year. I mean, because they're very serious about getting rid of the Department of Education. And I mean, if they cut off the funding to these schools, I mean, they're going to be scrambling. I mean, there's so many administrators. I mean, it's so top heavy. And so, I mean, you're going to see a lot of changes. And I mean, I wouldn't surprise me if they got rid of a half to 2/3 of the government, and I worked for the federal government. My kids have worked there. My one daughter that has worked for the State Department, I said, you have to, even though she has a security clearance, I said, you need to think about doing something else. Like, don't think about going back there maybe, because it's great. It shouldn't be that our government, has 4 or 5 million employees, but it's going to be for the better that it's going to, I'm just so excited. I'm so excited for what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine to the point that I'm even skeptical.
Don't be skeptical.
No. I
He
just
does like
think
the dream team.
He does, but I just think of all the things that they're going to try to do because, even I'm watching how the Matt Gaetz stuff is playing out, and I think, okay, just push it through and do it. But this is the other thing I'm thinking. People within the Department of Justice, obviously, they don't want this to happen, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, these are people who have dirt on how many members of Congress.
Yeah,
You
that's
think
true,
that
yeah.
they're not saying, hey, you want to block him or not? Because just so you know, here's info. Already information's being leaked. I mean, we're right back to the previous Trump era with the way that they approach him. Leak information, and that's being done with Matt Gaetz. The information's being leaked, and so I think to myself, I know that they're calling these members of Congress, or
Yeah,
whether they're
I'm
calling
sure
them or
that
how
they'll-
they're communicating, with all the dirt that they have on them, and saying you better stop this, or else this information, whether it's leaked out or sent to your husband, sent to your wife, sent to whomever, and I start thinking about that stuff, but I'm not giving up hope at all. And Trump, one of the things, I don't know, it's almost like watching the Chiefs, where you're 3/4 in a lot of times, and you're like, this is just not going. Particularly, I like last season, and I remember a couple of different times. I think it was last season, and Morgan would walk through, and she's like, "Are they winning?" I'm like, "No, but it's the third quarter. They'll pull it. So even though you
2 minutes before the end of the game, but
Yeah.
they will come. Mahomes will come through.
And so even though emotionally in the moment you think, boy, this doesn't look good, there's that, but they seem to pull it out. And that's where I am with a lot of this stuff. I start really thinking about it in the moment and knowing to what depths these corrupt people will go. And I'm like, but Trump manages to pull a lot of stuff out at the same time.
what?
And this time he just has a lot more going for him than he did last time. And so it's for those reasons that, yeah.
I mean, that's the best place to be in.
Yeah, take that, freaks. You have Nancy Pelosi on your side. Trump's got God.
He has God protecting him.
That's
and all
right.
those guardian angels. I mean, I'm so excited because I never thought, as long as we've been following politics, and I don't know how many conventions what is it, 10 maybe? Or how many conventions do you think you've watched? 10? I don't even know. A lot. I never thought in my lifetime I would even hear talk. I mean, we always heard, small government, whatever. And nobody would ever do it. But this is the person that is going to do it. And he has, all of these. And that's why I was so excited when he first announced he was running, because you have all these people that are not bureaucrats and they're from the private sector. And Department of Commerce, everybody from the private sector that have run businesses. That is so exciting. And I never thought in my lifetime that I would see something happen like this. And I think it's going to, I think they have everything planned because every day is so exciting to hear, things that they're announcing. And I never thought I would see anything like this that would transform government so much.
More with Christy Filnecki coming up in mere moments. A traffic update. I'm Nick Reed. And Christy Filnecki
Yes,
is with us.
yes.
Somebody referenced Red Dawn, that film. Have you seen Red Dawn? I haven't seen it in a very long time. I was
I've been seeing that
mentioning
forever.
earlier that I think it would be great to have a satirical movie made, sort of a black comedy, about what an invasion would look like today, particularly when it comes to college campuses and Red Dawn. But I think that it would be
That's a
great
good
to
point,
almost
yeah.
play off of that, because that, I haven't seen it since I was a kid. But if I remember correctly, it was Russia invades, and then these college students, they're like, take them on. Well, can you imagine what that would look like today on college campuses? They'd be scrambling for their calming jars and their safe spaces, and
They join forces with the enemy.
they probably would, as long as they use their
That's true.
proper pronoun. They probably would. All the enemy would have to do is put like anti-MAGA stuff on, and they're like, or talk about killing the Jews, and they'll jump right on board.
Yeah. No survival skills there. I can tell you that much.
So it would be a great play off of that.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it looks like we have a project for ourselves. We can.
Mhm.
Sarah, you're in charge of that.
I wish I had the talent, the resources, the know-how, and the wherewithal to do something like that.
Well, you.
But I
can.
lack all of those things.
I
If anybody
totally
wants to pay me to be an
agree.
idea man, I'd be like, oh, and then they ought to do this.
I know. You just need someone to implement all of these ideas.
To actually do it.
Yes.
Things that I don't have in me to do.
That's right. Okay, so I watched Am I Racist? Have you guys seen that?
Oh, Matt Walsh.
It is hilarious. Okay. I mean, we were all watching it because it's not, I think it's PG-13, but so my whole family were watching it, and the younger kids are like, okay, we get the point, but it was so hilarious.
Yeah, and Matt Walsh,
I mean,
he's the Daily
Daily
Wire, and we carry his show at 8, right?
I think
Yeah, 8 o'clock. Yeah,
Okay.
we carry show 8 to 9.
Okay.
And then for people who don't know, he made this movie, Am I Racist?, where he kind of goes undercover as somebody who is a left-winger trying to understand how white men are racist, right? And he makes his way into these conversations and these scenarios with genuine left-wing people talking, but he has this. Again, I keep referencing these conversations we had at Lunch Bunch, but this actually came up, and his form of communication and how, particularly with young people, it seems to resonate because he has this. It's a very dry humor that somehow allows him to pull this stuff off, where the left expose themselves and
Yeah,
make mockeries of themselves.
yeah. I mean, and they do look pretty ridiculous. I mean, it's really funny because in the beginning he doesn't actually physically disguise himself, so they figure out who he is when he's in this therapy group. And
What was the therapy group for?
about racism and
Oh,
how to
okay.
get rid of your
Got
racism.
it.
Like it's a bunch of white people trying to,
Okay.
yeah,
And
to
it was
punish.
but it was a real that
It
was
was a
real.
real thing, but he didn't put, like, later in the movie he puts a wig on and glasses and stuff to disguise himself because he kept interrupting, and then he was doing all these things in the group class, and so they kicked him out, and so he got kicked out, and then somehow they ended up figuring out who he was. And
I
so,
love that
but
he
it's
put
it's
that
like,
part that in the movie.
oh
Like
yeah,
he
yeah,
made all of that sort of
yeah.
learning
I'm thinking,
evolution.
man, these people, I wonder what they think about me being in this documentary. I mean, but they should be proud of it. Apparently, later on in the movie, the professor or the author that he's talking to, I mean, she looked like an idiot, but she ended up getting upset because he tricked her and tried to,
Yeah, I believe there was a scene, and I've seen a portion of it where he is asking her to explain reparations. Now, and you have to
yeah,
understand again, he's not doing this he's not being antagonistic. He's pretending as if he's on the same page. Like he's
oh
really
yeah,
learning. And so he's asking all about this and gets into reparations. And the camera guy is a black guy. And he
he brings him
manages he brings him out and manages to convince her to actually give him money as a
yeah,
form of a reparation.
yeah.
Like the way it's hilarious.
Well, and during the whole thing, what he finally. I mean, I don't want to give the whole thing up, but you basically like can't cure yourself of being racist.
Well, that's
And he
the
actually
position.
went on all of these talk shows and he started this whole class and stuff about. And at one point, he's like physically punishing himself. So he's like telling everybody that they should. It was like flagellation, all this stuff. And so, I mean, you had people that got up and started leaving because they're like, this is getting ridiculous. But some of the people, I
They were
mean,
doing it.
yeah, I don't want to give away too much, but I mean, I don't know how I got the Daily Wire subscription. I renewed it, and that's how I watched it. But I don't know how else that you can watch it.
Yeah,
But it's definitely worth doing.
and it's called
because-
"Am I Racist?"
Yes,
Yeah, and Matt Walsh is again the producer, the
but it's
central
hilarious
figure.
because you wonder, like, you can't have a conversation with somebody about that. So you almost have to be undercover to get in there to see what they're talking about. And
Right.
it's just insane. I mean, it's definitely almost, borderline mental illness
It
situation.
is. It's
I mean,
and there's
is.
paranoid delusion. I don't think we
Yeah.
recognize that enough. You read through the descriptions of and the symptoms of paranoid delusion, and then you listen to some of these people, particularly when it comes to Trump. I mean, it's paranoid delusion. This fantasy world in which Trump is focused on them as an individual, and he's going to come after him, and he's going to get them. And I mean, it is textbook all the way. We got Christy Fulnecki with another traffic update. I'm Nick Reed. There's been this little bit of brouhaha in the U.S. Capitol with this newly elected member of Congress, Tim McBride, who in the last, I guess, couple of years decided to start dressing as a woman and ask people to call him Sarah. And then you have Nancy Mace. It was like, okay, we need to make sure that everyone's on the same page here.
Yeah, she's
Restrooms.
awesome.
And what was so hilarious, though, Fetterman of Pennsylvania, he just, I don't know. He sometimes he seems totally normal, then other times you're like, what a wackadoodle. And so he had, let's see if I have the exact, is this a tweet or whatever? But anyway, so he wrote, "There's no job I'm afraid to lose if it requires me to degrade anyone. If that's a defining issue for a voter, there will be a different candidate. We have a bathroom in my office that anyone is welcome to use, including Representative-elect Sarah McBride," which that would be appropriate because you're a man.
I know.
It's like, do you not realize the point you're making here? Like, well, this member of Congress can come use my bathroom. That would be perfectly fine.
I just think that's
what Nancy Mason, some people are wanting, that this individual, as a biological male, as an actual man, use a men's restroom. So good. We're on the same page.
Yeah. And now you know that 80% of America agrees with the Congresswoman. I think it's awesome that she did this. And obviously, it's the principle of it that, I mean, I think it's great. Good job for Republicans there.
Someone had texted in about the bumper music. Sarah, you'll appreciate this because you have spent God knows how much time updating the bumper music. And they noticed, so Paramore, which is a group that actually, I think their very first album when it came out, I mean, this was, 15, 16 years ago. I was a fan of Paramore. But the lead singer's crazy lefty, extreme. Yeah, she's a nut. And anyway, so they're like, hey, I don't know if you know this or not, but she's really anti-Trump, so maybe you should reconsider some of that bumper music. Well, no, here's the thing. I understand that. But if we limit our bumper music to people that are not anti-Trump, we're going to be playing a lot of Lee Greenwood and Kid Rock. And that's going to be pretty much it. Some Ted Nugent in there. But so we're going to be very...
It's like every break.
I know. So 100%, I get it. I understand what you're saying, but we will be limiting ourselves greatly.
Conversations about this topic because of us going to all the Dave Matthews concerts.
Oh, yeah.
Saying how Dave has not said anything. He's
probably smart.
I know.
Well, I think that's respectful, frankly, of your audience.
No, right.
They pay a lot of money to come listen to you, and I think that whether it's for purposes of self-preservation or, not wanting to lose revenue, or just respectful, that I think is a respectful thing to.
Never understood. They had a guy, the Shark Tank guy, I can't think of his name, but that's been pretty outspoken. I can't think of his name.
Mr. Wonderful.
He's talking about musicians, and he's like, why would you risk losing half of your audience?
They can't help themselves.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is.
They can't help themselves.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to.
But it's a great day in America. Yeah. I'm telling you.
Trump.
I know. And all of these outcasts and these savages that people, said all these bad things about them. Now they are in charge of our country. Amen. God bless America.
Got news coming up next. Springfield's Talk 1041. I am Nick Reed. It'll actually be in 2 weeks that Christy Fuldecki rejoins us. Yeah, because next Thursday will be Thanksgiving for those of you that, for whatever reason, just don't remember it, that is the case. We have Author of the Week coming up, sponsored by ABC Books on North Glenstone. And, of course, remember, as always, Wilder RV for all of your RV needs, end-of-season deals, end-of-the-year deals. Some, like any company, some have great websites, some have not great websites, some have no websites. They rely on social media. Wilder RV has a really great website, at least for me. It's easy to navigate. You can see what inventory they have, but also the financing options that are available. And the pricing that you see is the pricing you get. It is not uncommon, and you may be familiar with this, when you see the price and then you go in, and by the time you sit down and do the paperwork, well, then they tell you, once you've already agreed to make the purchase, then they tell you about the additional fees that they have no control over. Yeah, it's just one of those things. We don't like it either. Well, there's a delivery fee or a pickup fee or a prep fee or this fee. They don't do that. Frankly, they just don't have time to do it at Wilder RV. They don't mess around with that sort of stuff, and that's why it is that people from literally all over the country make their way there, just because they're serious and they're straightforward, and it's not just about selling inventory, but getting you in what you want. WilderRV.com, Clinton, Missouri, on 13 north of Springfield, just over an hour. You can find them under Nick's endorsements at KSGF.com. Latest news update.
And the first alert forecast from Color 10 Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today it'll be sunny and breezy with a high near 46. Tonight clear with a low around 27. For your Friday, sunny with a high near 50. And on Saturday, sunny skies with a high near 59. And real quick, I want to tell you about the Pyramid Roofing Company. We once again have a very windy day in the Ozarks today. And if you notice loose shingles, or maybe you got a yard full of shingles, hopefully not, but I want to recommend my friends over at the Pyramid Roofing Company. Now, whenever you call them, they're not going to do any type of sales pitch on you. They're not going to use scare tactics. They'll just tell you like it is, and then they're going to come up with the best solution for you and your home. And sometimes that doesn't mean a whole new roof, but maybe just a simple roof repair. So if it is time to schedule that free roof inspection, go ahead and give Josh and his crew a call today. Now, you can find all of the contact information for the Pyramid Roofing Company under the Sarah's Endorsements tab at ksgf.com.
And it's Thursday, which means it is time for Author of the Week. Sponsored by ABC Books on North Glenstone, and big thank you to them as always. Every once in a while we have, sort of like real life intertwined with a little bit of fiction, and we're fortunate enough at times to have an author in studio, usually because that means a book signing is coming up. The book, which we'll talk about here in a moment, The Dead Fed Said. When is the book signing? When does that come up at ABC Books?
30th of November.
Okay, the 30th of November. Do you have a time frame on it?
10 till 2, I believe.
10 until 2. For this is your first book,
This is
right?
my first
well,
book.
Tell us about yourself, if you would.
I'm Conita Taylor. There you go.
That's it. That is it. No, this is your first one, and I know I actually found you. You have a profile. You have a bio, so that means you've made it. You're a member of Critique Me Friday,
I am.
Ozark's Romance Authors,
Yes,
Springfield's Writers Guild,
correct.
and Sleuths Inc.
Yes.
So are those all? I feel as if there's a bit of overlapping there a bit with those different organizations. Are they all?
Well, they're different.
Okay.
But they do come together. In June, we have a conference, and all three groups pull together to put on a conference here in Springfield.
So have you always aspired to write?
Yes.
Okay, you have. Since you're a kid in school, you like
Childhood,
writing
yeah.
in childhood, and so this has got to be a big deal. I mean, you have it's a real book.
Yes.
It looks real. This is a real legit thing, and you're doing that's not bad. First book doing a book signing, I would say.
It's fun.
Yeah, I would imagine that it is. All right. Now, this book, if you would tell us a bit about it, and I mentioned earlier that it is fiction intertwined with a real-life case, right?
Yes.
So tell us how you decided upon this, like the particular case, and how to go about with the story.
Well, the case came first. About 12 years ago, we received a little booklet in the mail that had my husband's mother's side of the family, the ancestry. And having heard stories, I sat down and just read it right away. There was a story in there about an FBI agent that was murdered during the Prohibition. And the key point to that was the case was never solved. So that stayed in my mind.
Now, was that part of the family?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
And I thought, that's what I thought. It was very interesting.
Right.
A few years ago, I started reading a series of books by J.C. Fields. And in it, the main character is FBI, the Sean Kruger series. And with each book, and there's several that I kept reading, this past family member of Tom's kept coming to mind. How odd that the FBI could not solve the murder of an FBI agent. And within these groups that I'm involved with, we have challenges or contests. And my Critique Me Friday group has prompts, maybe once a month, where we just randomly pick 3 words. And then we write a story, including those 3 words in the story. And whatever the 3 words were that time, it made me think of this FBI agent in the family. So that's what I did. I just started researching. I pulled out my little booklet, reread what I had read years before, and did my research. I read a lot of Google, a lot of old newspapers, and I wrote a short story, more of an article really, about, his name was Paul E. Reynolds, and I wrote this article about him for my prompt. And my critique group said, this needs to be a book.
Now, I read, and I don't know, is a fact about that murder, if I remember right, that is the only unsolved FBI. Now, is that the fictional part, or is that actual truth?
That's actual
That's
truth.
truth, huh?
To the day,
No kidding.
not solved.
I'll be darned. Well, I don't want to spoil anything, but have you solved it? I know that's not the point necessarily of the book, but
I think in the book it's bringing up the questions.
okay.
You know, could it have been a conspiracy? Who knew and wasn't telling? You know, things like that.
We're talking with our author of the week, Honetta Taylor, sponsored by ABC Books on North Glenstone, the book Dead Fed Said. Now, this being your first book, had you tried to write books? Why now?
I've got another over a dozen more that I just need to edit. And
Okay, so I'm just always interested in how these things
Sure.
evolve. So at this point, you have all of these others. You've written this one published. You haven't edited the others. So why this one as your first?
because I was working on it presently, I had this very supportive critique group. And as I was writing it, I was taking my chapters to the group and getting their opinion. And it just kept flowing. And I love that. I love a good flow.
Did it ever really extremely change course as you're developing the story?
Little things.
Yeah.
When I wrote it originally, I do a little plotting.
Okay.
And a lot of people
I
do.
can't even comprehend how people like you do what you do. I could never do it. So this is always interesting to me, the process.
Well, I start with an idea. I get chapter 1, 2, sometimes into 3. And from that point, I jump to the end.
Okay.
At this point, how would I see this ending? I look at it, and this was based on a book that I read decades ago now by Barbara Scher. And it was called How to Get What You Really Want. And it's goal setting. And I learned through her, when you want to go somewhere,
Okay.
go to that spot that you actually want to be at and then work backwards.
And so that's how you formulate a book.
It really
To
is.
some degree, that's very interesting. Is that an unusual method, or do you know?
I think it is. There's a point when a lot of people, when we're doing a pantser or riding by the seat of your pants, you just get through it and then you go back and make your edits.
Okay.
But when I have an idea of how I already want it to end, then when I'm going back to where I left off on 2 or 3, then I start incorporating the different ideas that I had brainstormed at the end.
So you take in the book, The Dead Said Fed, this real-life mystery, the only unsolved murder of an FBI agent, and then you weave a fictional account to sort of, act as a conduit, I guess, keep you intrigued, add a little, peak and valley here and there. How did you develop that story?
I had an idea for a chapter 1 and 2, just kind of in my mind. And when I decided to incorporate the FBI agent into it, it just took off. And what I want in a story is to have a touch of romance, because I like that, and the mystery, the suspense blended in. So what I have is my agent. How, and this is what I'm thinking from his point of view, if he could speak to somebody today, what would he say? What would he ask somebody to do if somebody could do it? So I found my main character, blended her with an idea that I'd already had previously, and that just seemed to really click. And then with that, somewhere along the line is going to be a gentleman
Okay.
that steps into the picture. And in this case, it's an FBI agent undercover to find out what she's trying to find out.
So how much of her is actually you?
Oh, that's not a lot. Really.
So the book signing again is coming up. You said the 30th, is that right? Okay, so the 30th. And then anything else people need to know about the book? I suppose maybe I should have started with this. If you were to give an elevator pitch, somebody's like, oh, that's interesting. I haven't heard of that book. What's it about?
Romantic suspense based on a real life experience from the 1920s, from the Prohibition period, and bringing that into the now. And what would people be thinking about it if they are today? What would they question about why the FBI didn't solve this? Why couldn't they solve it? Or did they solve it and they're just not
Mm. Yeah, because,
Telling.
you see, there's TV shows, Cold Case
Sure.
Files, and you think with advanced technology and which is a lot of what they use. Of course, I, don't know what evidence, if any, they had collected, but it seems like, especially if there was only one. I mean, if I'm in the FBI, like, there's one unsolved. Let's just do that so
Yeah.
we can have a better record. And so who knows? Maybe you should send this to the FBI. Maybe.
I talked with a friend that's a retired FBI agent, and so he knows about it. If he wants to forward it,
Has he read it yet?
I don't know.
That would be
I have. I
be
didn't ask him yet.
interesting to see what he thinks. Well, listen, it's so nice to meet you. I appreciate you coming in and talking with us in studio. And once again, that book signing at ABC Books on the 30th. The time again, 11 to...
I think it's 10 till 2.
10 till 2. And but as we get closer to that date, if anyone who's listening, of course, you can stop by ABC Books or give them a call, and they'll be more than happy to get you all that information, like they will on all of our Author of the Week books. This one, The Dead Fed Said. Thank you so much. It was so nice to meet you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate being here.
My pleasure. Springfield's Talk 1041. I'm Nick Reed. Tomorrow morning, we will be broadcasting live from Scramblers. That Friday Roadshow sponsored by Custom Shade Window Tinting, powered by 3M Window Film at KSGF.com. A couple of chances for you to win some cool stuff. Brad Pistole, host of Safe Money Radio, sponsoring our Show Us Your Best Shot again this year. You can go to KSGF.com, click on it, scroll down, and you will see where you can upload your hunting picks. They can be from this season, prior seasons, and that will be your entry for a random drawing. One winner will get that prize pack with all the info listed. It's hundreds of dollars worth of awesome hunting stuff that was put together by Brad Pistole of Safe Money Radio, who is a hunter himself. Also, coming up Wednesday, December 11th, a Christmas concert performance by Chris Tomlin live at Evangel University's Spence Chapel, and you can register to win tickets for that as well at ksgf.com. Democrats are fighting the Pennsylvania Senate race results in court. The Democrats fighting those results in Pennsylvania, where GOP Senator candidate Dave McCormick has been declared the winner over Senator Bob Casey, leading some to turn to the election denier term. Well, of course, this is what election denialism is, isn't it? When you lose an election but claim you didn't. The Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee and Casey's campaign have sued 10 county boards of elections, demanding that they count provisional ballots that were already rejected as illegal. Democratic election lawyer Mark Elias's firm filed the suit Monday on behalf of the plaintiffs who are seeking to count additional ballots after McCormick was declared the winner in the election against Casey. The rejected provisional ballots that Democrats want counted lack the proper signatures, inner secrecy envelopes, or both, which makes them illegal. I think it might be a good idea, if we're going to treat everyone equally, to approach these attorneys the same way that many Trump attorneys were dealt with that made challenges in court regarding the election, and that is take away their law license. There were numerous attorneys for Trump that did exactly what Mark Elias's firm is doing now in Pennsylvania, and that is going to court to put forth an argument regarding the outcome of an election. Now, what Mark Elias's firm is arguing is that illegal ballots should be counted. Obviously, different arguments were being made before the courts by Donald Trump's attorneys, but the result for many of those attorneys, depending on what state they were in, if they were states in which Democrats had the authority to do so, they disbarred them. So should not these attorneys be disbarred? Should their ability to practice law be taken away from them? Or, in some instances, some of the attorneys, particularly in Georgia, they're attempting to put them in jail. So perhaps there should be a move to indict these attorneys for election interference. Now, we know that that won't happen, of course, because for Democrats, there's two sets of rules. There are the rules for them, and then there are the rules for everyone else. Springfield's Talk 104.1, I'm Nick Reed.
Springfield's Talk 104.1, your first alert forecast from Colorton, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by Wolfpack Cleaners, your residential and commercial cleaning professionals. Today it'll be sunny and breezy with a high near 46. Tonight clear with a low around 27. For your Friday, sunny with a high near 50. And on Saturday, sunny skies with a high near 59.
Just the News has a piece that is from newly released information regarding the Capitol Police officer who executed Trump supporter Ashley Babbitt on January 6th. She was the Trump supporter that was not armed, that was actually there in a crowd with some others that were trying to kind of crawl through this little windowed area. And police officers were there within, I mean, they could touch her, around her. And despite apparently they had no fear, this Capitol police officer who was on the other side of this door and several feet away shot her. And no stop or I'll shoot sort of situation, no warning ahead of time. It was an execution. And he was praised. It's pretty funny when you think about how all of the people on the left have been warning that if Donald Trump gets elected president, his supporters will be punished, and he'll even go after his supporters with the military, maybe execute them, when we've really had that only happen once in this country, and it was a Trump supporter who was executed, and the person who did it was praised by the media as a hero, praised by the Democrat as a hero. In fact, do you know he got a promotion after that? He was promoted for executing an unarmed Trump supporter. Now, you tell me whose behavior is more indicative of a dictatorship. Oh, but she deserved it, right? Yeah, that's usually what dictators say. It turns out that this Capitol Hill police officer, who got promoted after executing Ashley Babbitt, has quite an interesting background, including firing shots at somebody who was fleeing and then lying about it. You know, shooting someone in which he wasn't in danger. John Solomon and Stephen Richards worked together on the piece, The Capitol Police Officer Who Fatally Shot Ashley Babbitt During the January 6th Riot, and then was promoted, has a lengthy internal affairs and disciplinary record that includes firearm-related incidents a sweeping congressional investigation has found. The issue in Captain Michael Byrd's background included a failed shotgun qualification test, a failed FBI background check for a weapons purchase, a 33-day suspension for a lost weapon, and referral to Maryland state prosecutors for firing his gun at a stolen car fleeing his neighborhood, according to congressional and police documents obtained by Just the News. Byrd's record was uncovered during a larger House Administration Oversight Subcommittee investigation into the Capitol Police disciplinary process and was chronicled in a letter Representative Barry Loudermilk of Georgia, the panel's chairman, sent yesterday to the department's chief, Thomas Manger, in which the lawmaker expressed concern about the officer's promotion to captain. Quote, "This subcommittee is dedicated to ensuring USCP has autonomy from political pressure so it can make operational and personal decisions," Loudermilk wrote in the letter. However, based on the information obtained by the subcommittee regarding USCP's handling of Captain Byrd's following January 6, 2021, and his significant disciplinary history, I have concerns about USCP's decision to promote him to the rank of captain. A list of the incidents described in Loudermilk's letter are corroborated by congressional records and police reports that date as early as 2004 and include the following. An incident where Byrd, who was off duty, fired his weapon at a stolen vehicle as it was fleeing his residential neighborhood. A 2015 conduct unbecoming an officer complaint filed by a fellow officer after Byrd, again off duty, confronted him while the officer was working at a high school football game in an incident with racial overtones. A 33-day suspension in 2019 after Byrd left his service weapons unattended in a public Capitol Hill bathroom. A failure to pass a routine background check shortly after January 6th when he attempted to purchase a shotgun for home protection. After the USCP worked to provide Byrd a department-issued shotgun instead, he failed the training. And 3 further referrals to the Capitol Police Office of Professional Responsibility, which for records are reportedly missing. Gee. Wonder how that could happen. Mark Schammel, the lawyer representing Byrd, did not respond. Several requests for comments. The U.S. Capitol Police also did not return several inquiries from Just the News. In his only interview to date, Byrd told NBC News' Lester Holt about his experience on January 6, defending the actions he made that day, including the execution of Ashley Babbitt, saying, quote, "I believe I showed the utmost courage." An internal USCP investigation completed August 2021 determined that then Lieutenant Byrd's conduct was lawful and within department policy. As a result, the department concluded that he would not face any internal discipline for the officer-involved shooting. So, and this is part of the problem with Capitol Hill Police. They're not subject to any sort of Freedom of Information Act request, and they're not subject to outside investigations. So they get to operate essentially as the Gestapo got to, without any sort of controlling authority over them and without any sort of oversight other than what they get to do themselves. So whenever they are accused of something such as executing a supporter of political opposition, they get to investigate themselves. And in a surprising turn of events, the investigation found that they did everything just perfectly fine. Byrd, subsequent to the execution, was promoted to the rank of captain by Capitol Police leadership. Because, hey, he had killed more than one Trump supporter. Who knows what sort of bonus he would have received. In 2004, the earliest event that Loudermilk was able to uncover in the investigation, then Sergeant Byrd attempted to halt a car theft while he was off duty by brandishing his gun and firing 2 shots at the stolen vehicle in the middle of a suburban neighborhood, according to a Capitol Police Internal Affairs report reviewed by Just the News. When explaining the incident to investigators, he claimed that he fired his weapon at the oncoming vehicle as it tried to strike him. But when the vehicle was found, officers located one of the bullet holes in the rear of the vehicle that entered from behind, contradicting Byrd's account, according to the letter. The detective investigating the incident concluded that Byrd exhibited bad judgment, intervening himself while off duty and discharging his weapon in an irresponsible manner. Quote, just like I explained to Byrd when he saw what he saw outside of the window, I understand him being an officer, but it's a stolen vehicle, and it's like, call the police, the detective is quoted as saying in the report. The detective referred the case to the state's attorney's office as required by police policy. Byrd faced charges of first-degree assault for firing 2 rounds into vehicles, then attempting to assault him, according to an internal affairs report reviewed by Just the News. The state prosecutor ultimately decided not to even pursue charges, but concluded that Byrd exhibited bad judgment, according to internal affairs report. The Capitol Police Office of Professional Responsibility found that Byrd's conduct was unbecoming and suspended him for 7 days without pay. Byrd remained adamant that his actions were justified, telling investigators that he did not believe that he used his weapon in a careless or imprudent manner and denied any wrongdoing at all. If the incident occurred again, he would not do anything differently, the report summarizes. Now, understand, he lied about what happened. Without any question, he claimed that he fired at the vehicle because it was heading towards him, but the bullet holes were in the trunk, in the rear, and it was, they did forensics or whatever level of forensics were necessary in order to determine, it's not that difficult, you could tell by looking, that the bullet, it was coming from the back. I mean, it hit the trunk. Despite getting caught lying about shooting somebody that was not a danger to him, like Ashley Babbitt, he still denied he did anything wrong and said, I'd do it again. And for that, he got a 7-day suspension. In 2015, Byrd again found himself the subject of an official complaint. A Montgomery County, Maryland police officer filed a complaint against Byrd with the United States Capitol Police after an alleged confrontation with him at a local high school football game. Like the stolen car incident, Byrd was again off duty when he confronted the Maryland officer who was working to keep spectators from walking onto the school field, according to an incident report. Byrd allegedly called the officer a piece of blank racist, though it is unclear why Byrd became angry with him to begin with. In 2019, Byrd faced scrutiny for another firearm incident and was ultimately suspended for 33 days after an investigation. Public reports at the time show Byrd left his service weapon in a public bathroom in the Capitol Visitor Center complex, frequented by tourists and visitors. The weapon was only discovered during a routine security sweep of the building in the public place. Byrd was the commander of the House Chambers section of the USPC at the time of the incident. The department takes these matters very seriously and has a very thorough process to investigate and review incidents such as these and hold personnel accountable for their actions, a Capitol Police spokesman said after the firearm was discovered. But there's a consistency here, and that is every time, in this instance, with this particular Capitol Hill police officer, that he does something wrong, got caught lying about shooting at somebody who was fleeing, gets into an altercation with someone, he ends up somehow getting a promotion. Also, according to the investigation, the United States Capitol Police records, quote, indicate 3 additional USCP referrals against Byrd, but the records are, quote, reportedly missing. This is disappointing as the inability to locate these documents hinders the subcommittee from fulfilling its responsibility to conduct comprehensive oversight over the United States Capitol Police Loudermilk Row. Now, generally speaking, if things are going to go missing during an investigation, if evidence is going to go missing, it's usually the most damning evidence. Given the information that did not go missing, including the fact that he did what he did to Ashley Babbitt in a prior incident, but that individual managed to get away without being killed, it's got to make you wonder what was in the 3 that went missing. Following the January 6th riot, Byrd attempted to purchase a shotgun, but failed to pass a routine FBI background check. Thus, he was unable to complete the purchase. He then enlisted the help of the United States Capitol Police to help resolve the issue. The department attempted to provide Byrd a department-issued shotgun in case the background check did not come through, which I don't know about you, but that sounds like that's not something that's supposed to happen. Somebody here that failed the FBI background check in order to purchase a firearm, and it almost sounds like a straw purchase sort of situation. We're like, oh, don't worry, we'll work around it. Don't we put people in prison for that sort of thing? Yet even attempting a workaround, the failed FBI background check in order to purchase a shotgun, even the U.S. CP ended up denying, according to the report, the acquisition of his acquisition of a shotgun because he failed the shotgun training. This is as bad as it can get. So what you have in a nutshell is the Capitol Hill police officer who shot an unarmed individual without giving any warning, an individual that had no weapons, that was not in any immediate proximity, in fact was actually closer to other law enforcement officials, and we know this because there's video of the execution. I mean, as soon as it happens, the police are right there like, whoa, 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 what's going on? Right there where she is. This is an individual who shot at somebody who was fleeing, not a danger once before, lied about it. So careless with firearms, leaves one in a public area, apparently doesn't even realize it because it gets discovered during a routine security sweep, can't even pass a background check to get a firearm for some reason, and then could not even pass a usage test in order to get one from the Capitol Police. And there are 3 other incident reports that have mysteriously disappeared. And this is a person who shot a citizen inside the Capitol and was given a promotion. And according to Democrats in the media, was a hero who saved lives. But it's Donald Trump who's going to run this country like a dictatorship. Springfield's Talk 104.1, I'm Nick Reed. Cable giant announcing plans to spin off MSNBC, CNBC after ratings crash. Comcast announcing plans to spin off a number of different cable channels once viewed as prime assets. This days after MSNBC ratings crash, according to the Wall Street Journal. The cable giant spinning off MSNBC, CNBC, USAE, Oxygen, Sci-Fi, and other channels in news and entertainment. The news comes after MSNBC's ratings fell by 53% following former President Donald Trump's defeat of Kamala Harris in the election, according to the New York Times. 53%. They already had a small audience. 53%? I mean, that is insane. And then to add insult to injury, and I knew this was going to happen. I don't know if I have these numbers in front of me. When old Joe and Mika over there from Morning Joe went on air and said, hey, we've decided that we're going to try to play nice with the dictator and give him a chance. We talked to him. He was really nice to us and everything. And so my thought was, it's a boneheaded move. It isn't as if you are going to start winning over people who want straightforward, unbiased news. They're not going to suddenly go, oh, okay, we'll start watching you now instead of the place we currently go for news. But what you are going to do with your current left-wing anti-Trump audience is going to tick them off, which is exactly what happened. And there were significant, I think it was in one of the key demographics, the hour after they made that announcement, the ratings dropped, I think it was 38%, from the already low that they were at after losing 53% post-election. And, of course, it's because, then the left has been more than clear about this, even internally, the own staff, they're traitors. You do not defy the cult. Have you never watched a documentary? This is what was amazing to me. I mean, it's like, what did you think was going to happen? I don't know what their plan was. I don't know what they were thinking. In fairness, if I were contacted, if I'm a consultant and I'm contacted, and like, okay, we got ourselves in a bit of a pickle here. We got this show here in the mornings, and post-election, 53% shedding of audience. What move can be made in order to fix this? I don't think there's anything. Sometimes you paint yourself into a corner, and there is no way out. And they have displayed themselves to be so dishonest, so morally bankrupt, and just unreliable. I mean, even if you don't want to believe morally bankrupt, if you don't want to believe just completely 100% unreliable. Aside from the Trump factor, I mean, Scarborough, just days before the debate, went on and on about how Joe Biden was sharper. It was the sharpest that he has ever been in his whole career. And anyone who didn't believe that was a liar, was a lunatic. So what do? You some things you can't come back from. Well, all right, well, what if we try to show that we're honest? That's your audience doesn't want that. That audience wants to be told Republicans are evil, Trump is trash, he's going to go to prison, he's the worst person in the world. That's what they want. That is what you have created. I don't think there's anything they can do in order to salvage that show. Apparently, Comcast has decided we got to cut our losses and get rid of it. All right, so after Joe Biden, post-Trump election win, gave the green light to Zelensky to escalate things against Putin, there has been, according to sources, and Zelensky being one of them, an intercontinental ballistic missile for the first time fired into Ukraine. So things are continuing to escalate and escalate after Joe Biden made that move. Now, Western military officials speaking on background saying, well, we don't know that that's really what it was. Okay. Well, we'll trust you then. Assuredly, some of the master architects of the brilliant withdrawal of Afghanistan. All right, we're going to be broadcasting live tomorrow morning. Scramblers, hope to see you. Doors open at 6 a.m. Friday Roadshow sponsored by Custom Shade Window Tinting, powered by 3M Window Film. Glenn Beck is coming up next. I'm Nick Reed.